It's just that, you know, everybody has those opportunities in their life to step up to the plate. You know, you always talk about it like, you know, oh man, I missed this one. And this is, every day now is my opportunity to step up to the plate, you know, to keep on pushing as hard as I can. I'm in an opportunity that through just, you know, good fortune to be where I'm at and given an opportunity that I'm just so motivated now. I mean, my training every fight has increased drastically. After the Nogueira fight, right after the first year I was back in the gym, I'm like, okay, I did this well, I did this well, I did not do this well, I need to work on this. We're watching the tape, looking through my notes on what was good in the camp, what was bad in the camp, and then going through it, like, you know, and improving upon that. And then just being, you know, I know that Brock Lesnar is an extremely powerful human being, and I just don't want to leave nothing for question. I want to make sure that, you know, in the first fight, you know, I caught him with technique, and obviously he's going to close up that gap. He would be stupid not to, and I can't imagine he would leave that. So this time I have to go out there and make sure I crush him, ultimately.
This is the way the Fight Club works. We've got microphones set up, both staircases there. It's all about you. The Fight Club members, come on down, ask your questions to Frank or myself. The floor is yours. I will ask you this, though. When you say each camp more recently you've gotten better and more fine-tuned, was that something that you said, you know what, I need to do that because maybe I didn't do it in the past? Or was it more, finally with the recovery of my body's allowing me to push myself to where I was able to do so in the past?
Actually, it's an accumulation of both. One, I was a victim of my own success. I first got in the UFC, the first 2 fights didn't even last a minute and a half. So how do you tell a 22-year-old, you got to train? I'm like, well, I just beat the world champion black belt that broke his arm in a minute. Well, this guy fought for a title, he lasted 46 seconds. And I'm going through and just hammering people out really quickly. So then I kind of, you know, it's hard to tell someone, get in the gym. I'm like, why?
Yep.
And then after the accident, you know, coming back, and then I had that motivation, but then my body didn't allow me to want to go ahead and go in there. I'd go there and go through training, and someone would say, stand on one foot, and I'd fall over. I'm like, well, it's not going to work out too well, huh? And so now I'm back to where I'm physically fit enough to increase my training to a tempo and bring in people like Delagrati. Mark Delagrati is a phenomenal trainer.
I love how he points to me when he says that.
Yeah, he's awesome. Bring him in. In fact, I got to show you what he did to my thigh. One kick.
The same thing he did to mine. Through the pad, actually.
Through a pad.
Through a pad, and yeah.
You got the pad. I didn't get a pad.
Yeah. Well, you're the heavyweight champion. I'm a commentator. You know, the one thing that I used to take pride in, though, is every time I talk to one of these guys, I'd always be, I know he could kick my ass, but I'm a better speaker than him, a better commentator. But then I see Frank on the WEC, and I'm like, damn, I'm going to be 0-2 right now.
No,
great job.
Not yet. Working on it.
The fact of the matter is that you're way too tall to interview those guys, though, so at least Rogan's job is safe, right? Then again, Joe would be perfect with those dudes, wouldn't he?
I was tired of hearing jokes. People were like, well, why don't you squat down and put them on your lap? I'm like, come on.
Here we go, Big Jens. Great battle out there. Sit down, kid. How you doing?
The worst is with Uriah, because my wife is a big fan of Uriah.
So is mine.
Stop going in there with Uriah. You make him look so small. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Hey, you know what? When Uriah sees Brock Lesnar walking to the octagon to fight you, he'll be glad that night he's a featherweight, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know. Uriah's a tough dude.
He is a tough dude. Well, let's talk about that one for a second. And please, the floor belongs to you guys. So step up to the microphones when you guys are ready. We'll start throwing it out. But just changing gears for a second. Big fight, rematch, much like yourself with Brock. Mike Brown, Uriah Faber, coming up at WEC 41 in Sacramento. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Well, you know, the first time around, you know, I thought Mike Brown had a lot of talent, and I'd seen some of his fights in Japan and stuff. But I was definitely leaning towards, you know, Uriah's Uriah. He's just steamrolling everybody. But now I definitely have it even though that, you know, Uriah got caught the first time. I think that obviously he's a great fighter and a phenomenal champion, and that I think that he's going to fix those. You know, I think he was a victim of his own success also. You know, he tried to pull that Anderson Silva elbow from halfway across the cage, and he was getting away with things against other fighters because he's such a talented athlete. And, you know, Mike Brown's the champ for a reason. You see what he just did in his last fight. So you can't play around with guys like that. So now I think it's going to be a phenomenal fight. I can't imagine how excited it's going to be to see both these guys taking each other utterly serious. There's no excuses going into this. Both guys are going to come in at 100%. We're going to see two of the best fighters in the world at 145 going at it. And I'm kind of upset, though, because the wife is due that week. So I won't be there. I get to watch it.
In your Echo commercial, you say that on any given night, there's only 10 people in the world who can beat you. Can you give us that list in order?
It's actually, it's about 2 now.
Why do I feel like you don't believe one of them's Brock?
No, what I was making by that statement was I was just saying that I push myself to such a level of excellence that you obviously feel Joey's the best, but being at the best, there's only a small group of guys that when you get into a fight, you know, myself and other heavyweights that are highly touted out there could fight each other 10 times, and not the same outcome's going to happen every 10th time. You know, it's be a different outcome. But that's the difference between technique and skill. But that's like watching the Olympics. If you were to do the 100-meter sprint 2 or 3 times after 4 or 5 days, you're not going to get the same 1, 2, and 3. Well, why? Because you got the top 8 guys in the whole world competing against each other. And that's what it's like right now at the top level of our game.
Being a fan of MMA, you hear a lot of opinions. I was just wondering about your opinion when you beat Brock Lesnar. Who do you see as potential opponents in the heavyweight division? Obviously, there's Chuck Congo making a name for himself. Who else do you see coming up? I know Pat Barry tomorrow night takes on Tim Hague. Do you see him as a potential opponent?
Not just yet. I think Pat Barry is an excellent striker, and obviously his leg kick is to make a lot of people stay up at night worried about it. I think he's a great striker. I still think, you know, obviously he's going to have a few more fights to get up there. This is the way it works out. I think right now Shane Carwin has really moved himself into position. I mean, his fight over Gonzaga, I think, showed a lot. He went out there, he got caught, got dropped, was on his back. Gonzaga
was broken.
Yeah, Gonzaga jumps on top of him. He kept his composure, got back up, turned it around, and knocked out Gonzaga. I think that he has to be the #1 guy right now over any of the other guys. I think Cain Velasquez is obviously there, and Chuck Congo's definitely fought his way back up. So I think those are probably the top 3. Cain, Chuck, and Shane Carwin, I think, has to be next.
I saw the last fight that you fought and beat him, so in my opinion, I think you're the champ right now, and obviously you have that confidence that you're going to beat him again. So I was just going to ask you how you see this fight ending.
I think that it's really Brock's choice. If he wants to shoot in and take me down, the guy's a great wrestler. Eventually, he'll take me down. I've tightened up my game a lot, working with Robert Drysdale in jiu-jitsu. I started training him for about the last year now. And I've made leaps and bounds in that department, actually. And so on the ground, I'll just play a little bit safer, not taking as much abuse as I did last time, look for the submission, which I just can't see that. I mean, nobody in the gym comes to me and rolls with me for 25 minutes and I don't tap out 3 or 4 times. I can't see that Brock's that guy that can last 25 minutes and not get submitted. And then if he chooses not to go to the ground, I don't know how I'm really going to take him down. I mean, Randy had a hard time, and Randy's a much better wrestler than I am. But if he wants to sit there and box with me, I'm all for that too. Actually, that's what I'm kind of hoping that's the poison he chooses, because I'm really excited about the boxing stuff. I've been working a lot more on it.
I was just wondering how much you think fan favouritism affects a fight. Just thinking in terms of Hughes, Sarah, and the upcoming Bisping Henderson, with Bisping quite often fighting in the UK, coming over to the US. Have you ever felt it has a big outcome? I know obviously you fought Ian Freeman in the UK. Did you feel it had an effect in that fight, or it generally has an effect?
No, once you close the cage, fight's a fight. It's the same octagon. The air's the same, you know, it's an opponent trying to beat you up. The difference that I do notice, and that's one reason why people notice that I always try to fight in Vegas, is that I hate traveling. You know, I have my family with me, you take your kids with you, you're trying to look for somewhere to eat, you're staying in a hotel. That stuff affects you. As far as who's the favorite, I don't know if that matters, because if you're fighting in your hometown and the other guy is still the favorite, I don't really care about that. But every time I fight in Vegas, 2 hours before the fight, I'm in my own house. I'm sleeping in my bed, my kids, I get to kiss them goodnight, I'm watching my TV, playing my Xbox, my books, and that adds a lot more comfort because it's the same program I'm used to over and over with familiarity. So that's what I think helps and gives an advantage, and that's more of a home field advantage. Whether or not you're being cheered for or booed for, at a certain point in the fight, you can't hear any of that. You don't even know what's going on, who the favorite is. You're so consumed on the moment. You're just, it's a very zen-like state where you're just, all you can do is almost hear your own heartbeat, and you're just looking at the other person, and you're consumed with battle.